we got to deal with these dumbasses in the White House. Now, Trump somehow thinks that he can run the Kennedy Center. He thinks that he's the damn curator of the Smithsonian. Hell, he actually said this here, y'all, that he was the chief law enforcement officer of the country. Now, of course, we talked earlier, one of our panelists mentioned John Bolton getting his house, his home raided. Y'all pull the clip up where Trump is standing before the people and he tried to say he didn't know about it, but then again he says he the nation's top cop.
They'll brief me probably today sometime.
And the foreign minister.
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better this way.
That dumbass is not a chief law enforcement officer. Pull a video back up and freeze it. Y'all see that stupid ass hat he got on? Trump was right about everything. His dumb ass is wrong about nearly every. Y'all, this is what they got on the White House website. And they've been attacking the Smithsonian saying, oh, they have these wrong exhibits. President Trump is right about the Smithsonian. So you go through this article, and it says the National Museum of African American History and Culture debuted a series to educate people, quote, on a society that privileges white people in whiteness, defining so-called white dominant culture as ways white people and their traditions, attitudes, and ways of life have been normalized over time and portraying the nuclear family, work ethic, and intellect as white qualities rooted in racism. All true. And so then they're attacking, look at this here. The campaign featured content from a hardcore woke activist, Ibram X. Kendi. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so they got other complaints, National Portrait Gallery. But this is the one that jumped. Look at this here. The National Museum of African Art display an exhibit on works of speculative fiction that bring to life an immersive, feminist, and sacred aquatopia inspired by the legend of Drexia, an underwater kingdom populated by the children of pregnant women who've been thrown overboard or jumped into the ocean during the Middle Passage. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all mad about that slavery thing again? All right, so y'all check this out. So they criticize the American History Museum's LGBTQ history exhibit. Then they criticize the National Museum of American Latino as well. But this is the one that I want to talk about. Y'all, it says the National Museum of the American Latino characterizes the Texas Revolution as a massive defense of slavery waged by white Anglo-Saxon settlers against an anti-slavery Mexicans fighting for freedom, not a Texan war of independence for Mexico, and frames the Mexican-American War as the North American invasion that was unprovoked and motivated by pro-slavery politicians. That's true. Y'all, when we talk about his story and history, his story means white man's his story. See, I'm born and raised in Houston, and every student in Texas in the 7th grade is required to learn Texas history. Now, y'all understand, the book is about that thick. I'm not lying. About that thick. So, growing up, remember the Alamo! Remember the Alamo! It was always talked about. And Davy Crockett and the others, they were portrayed as these righteous men who were fighting those Mexican savages. And these righteous men were standing up on behalf of Texas. And then we had the great Sam Houston and the great Stephen F. Austin and Milam and all of these characters, and how they were just these fine, upstanding men who wanted to free Texas from the shackles of the decrepit and the evil and the savage Mexicans. Except they left out a couple of things. Remember when I called out the History Channel, that bullshit docuseries, where they talked about Texas independence? All they kept saying, Texas independence, fighting for Texas independence. Well, see, if you're going to say you're fighting for Texas independence, Well, you need to say you're fighting to be independent of what? And the fact is, the Texas Revolution was trying for the white Anglo-Saxons to steal Texas from Mexico. The white Anglo-Saxons in Texas, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, David Crockett, and others, they wanted to be free from Mexico. Why? Because Mexico outlawed slavery. If you read, and we got the interview of the great historian Gerald Horne, his book on this very issue. In his book, he talks about how people of African descent who were enslaved were literally escaping across the border. Thousands were escaping to Mexico because they were free. It got to the point where these white Anglo-Saxons were literally crossing state lines to capture them in Mexico and drag them back. So it is a fundamental fact that the Texas Revolution, the fight for Texas independence, was over slavery. Period. That's what it was. So what these white supremacists in the White House, they are not upset because the truth is actually being told. That's what they're mad about. They mad that the truth is actually being told. Because see, what they want is they want to continue this fictionalized version of Texas independence. Oh my goodness, it's Texas independence. We can't actually tell people really what Texas independence is actually about. Because if we do that, then, oh my God, people are going to actually know what they were fighting against. I did something on this, and I said this. You know, former Texas Governor Rick Perry, he decided to create a trophy for the winner of the Texas A&M University of South Carolina game. And so he was trying to figure out, we need a trophy. Let's get a trophy. So what can we do if we create this trophy? So he was like, hey, let's create the Bonham Trophy. Oh my God, it's the Bonham Trophy. So if we create the Bonham Trophy, then that'll be the thing that we can award to the winner. And so they decided to say, yeah, we need the Bonham Trophy. That's what we need. And so y'all, give me 1 second. So this here is a photo of the Bonham Trophy. And so this is the trophy that the winner of the annual Texas A&M South Carolina game receives. Ooh, that's a great, look at this here. We got this man, he's on a horse and he's holding a gun and oh my goodness, and he's holding it up. Only problem is, who's Bonham? Who's Bonham? This is a Sports Illustrated story. And, the Bonham Trophy is named and modeled after Alamo battle hero James Bonham. It was commissioned in 2013 by former Texas Governor Rick Perry and then South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. So Nikki Haley and Rick Perry commissioned a Confederate statue because the Alamo was a battle with the Mexican army, Santa Anna, because of slavery. Now y'all see what these white supremacists are trying to do. They are angry. Trump and Matt, they hate history because they believe in his story. And that is a fundamental problem. And what they are going to try to do, Michael, is they are going to spend the next 3.5 years desperately trying to rewrite history. We're going to see a farce of history next year when the United States celebrates its 250th anniversary. They're going to be promoting lies. I'm not calling them falsehoods or mischaracterizations. I'm calling them lies. And them attacking this premise right here shows you how much of a liar Donald Trump and these idiots in his administration really are.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. And this is, and just so people understand to connect the dots, this is a continuation of what Trump did in the first administration, except it's even worse now. Because remember, in his first administration, he attacked the 1619 Project. He created the 1776 Project. He brought together those historians to create that. And he also signed that memo that banned critical race theory in training for federal employees. That was September 2020. That's what really kicked off that anti-critical race theory movement. But what you're saying is spot on. And I read the piece from The Independent that talks about this. Trump advisor leading Smithsonian review says D.C. museums place overemphasis on slavery. And they talk about the Texas Revolution here in this piece. And they cite the Texas Historical Association. And they say the Texas Historical Association considers slavery, which formed a key part of the then frontier territory's early economy, quote, an underlying cause of the struggle, end quote, with Mexico, which was pushing to abolish slavery at the time. And Mexico actually abolished slavery in 1829. So when they set up the Alamo, they set up that settlement, the U.S. had slaves in violation of Mexican law, and they were fighting to preserve that. Now, what was lost on a lot of people, because when I was a little kid, I saw the movie The Alamo with John Wayne, and, they portrayed Davy Crockett and things like that, and Jim Bowie. They really didn't talk about that in that movie. Okay, no, they were fighting to preserve slavery. So this is the nonsense. This is the white supremacists, white nationalists, white Christian nationalism that they're pushing, and they attack history. Okay, they're attacking history at the same time attacking voting rights. Because if we can limit your understanding of the past and restrict your ability to vote in the present, then we can control the laws and policies of the future. This is exactly what they're doing. This is why your show is so important, to educate people and fight against this nonsense. I can't hear.
Of course, Matt. What's hilarious here is they're so angry at facts. They're so angry at historical representations, and they want to lie. And again, Texas independence. That's why every year when Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick is posting, "Hey, Texas Independence Day," and then I post, "Hey, it's Happy We Love Slavery Day." Because guess what? When Texas gained its independence, guess who stayed slaves? Not the white people.
Hello. Yeah, and it's deeper than that. I mean, obviously, you and I are both native Texans. We both took that 7th grade history class. I think your text for that class was on papyrus. Might not have been bound. Mine was in a book, but that's just because we're different.
No, actually, mine was in a book, but yours probably had more pictures.
Maybe so.
Because my class, when I was in the 7th grade, we could actually read. But go right ahead.
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes to make a tablet with a hand.
Yeah, go right ahead. Nice try. Nice try. Go on, Mr. Pictorial.
So I live about an hour from Goliad, right? And I grew up in Austin, named after Stephen F. Austin, down the road from San Antonio. I've probably been to the Alamo 30 times, on field trips and all that kind of stuff. And I think one of the things that people need to realize is in Texas, mythology is huge, right? So it's not only that this is not the true history, but a core tenet of Texas culture is lionizing these people and lying about what they did and the real motivations of what they did. And one thing I wanted to add to Michael's point that people don't realize is Spain actually abolished slavery in Mexico, right? And then in 1829, like he said, Mexico abolished slavery, but it actually separated Coahuila y Tejas, which was what became the state of Texas. And Stephen F. Austin and his compatriots thanked the Mexican president for carving out for Texas its ability to maintain slavery. So that shows you that slavery was a fundamental issue. And, it's exactly right. And I think what's interesting about that is in Texas, it's not just about slavery where we're dishonest. I mean, people don't realize that the Texas Rangers massacred Hispanic people in the state of Texas, right? But we don't talk about that. I mean, I know many Texas Rangers personally. They are fine law enforcement officers. The ones I've all worked with have been the cream of the crop. But the point is that agency has a very sordid history, but we don't talk about that as Texans because that does not fit the mythology that we want to have, which is, the Lone Star State and the frontier spirit and all of that. And really, it was about slavery. And I think you're exactly right to call it out. It's so important to call it out, especially because what we're seeing is people try to make tantamount to their culture or their right to have, some connection to their history, this idea that the actual history that's inimical to that is dishonest, when we know that the truth is slavery is the reason that they wanted Texas independence. And slavery is the reason Texas was the last bastion of the Confederacy, because that's what they wanted. They wanted slaves, but that doesn't fit into our mythology here in the state of Texas. And that's why people overlook it. And, it's back to the same conversation we were having earlier about the White House and the truth about crime stats. It isn't about the truth. It's about vibes. And the vibes come from telling white people that their country is being stolen. So you don't have the real conversations about what this country was then and now and what has made it what it is now, i.e. slavery and the attempt to keep it here in the state of Texas.
Roland, tomorrow, Congressman Al Green, your Texas brother, is holding a celebration of national enslavement. He calls Slavery Remembrance Day. He introduced legislation, and in 2022, President Biden actually recognized the day. Of course, the legislation has never passed, and it won't pass now, given the current White House. But I'll be speaking tomorrow, and I will begin. The event is being held at the U.S. Capitol. The beginning of my talk is there will be no U.S. Capitol where enslaved people. Not only will there be no capital, there will be no cotton, no rice, no bond market. But see, this is, to piggyback on what Brother Man just said, it's an inconvenient truth for folks to acknowledge the foundational contribution that enslaved people have made to this country. They want to paint us as dependents, but actually we're philanthropists. We have given more to this country than we would ever get. And so from that perspective, we have to call the lies again and again and again. This country would be half a country because some Europeans would have come over from the other side, the western part of the country, or the Spanish would have come through California and conquered. So were it not for enslavement, there would be no United States of America. And that's what makes the likes, like the man who lives in a house that enslaved people built, that's what makes the likes of him squirm. That's what makes him become so petty to try to go through museums. I guess he doesn't have, excuse my language, but shit else to do. He's supposed to be running the economy. He's supposed to be dealing with immigration. But what he's actually doing is attacking black people, attacking history, attacking the truth. They cannot stand the truth. When you confront them with the truth and topple those putrid statues, they start complaining, make America great again. I went on the whitehouse.gov website. I couldn't get it all the way up. My internet is acting janky today. But I went on there when you mentioned that letter that he has up there, and it's about welcome to greatness. What is the greatness? When you have people roaming the streets under the guise of law, stopping people. You said you were going to fix the economy. He has messed up the D.C. economy because, first of all, you've got the exodus of federal workers, not exodus, the firing of so many federal workers. And now you have ICE overrunning the place. And basically many of our restaurants, clubs, et cetera, are closing. If they're not closing, Saturday night, 14th Street, a young lady told me, she said her favorite place closed at 10 p.m. Usually it's open. Usually they beg to keep it open after 2 a.m. Closed at 10 p.m. because nobody was there. This is what this man has done. He's attempting to destroy America. If I didn't know any better, I would think that he was, well, he is Putin's best friend, but I would think that he came here essentially as a president to destroy this country. But let me say one quick thing last. it's not just about him. This man has gone bankrupt I don't know how many times. Who is behind him? Who props him up? These are the oligarchs who don't want to necessarily make America white again, because if America were white again, they couldn't survive. So white women didn't even know how to feed their children.
No.
So enslaved women showed them how to.
No. They want to make America white-led again. See, they don't want and white men. Let's be real clear. They don't want black people, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, but they don't even want white women. It's real clear what their agenda is. It's real clear. And listen, national media, shame on them for Peter Hegseth retweeting his misogynistic pastor in that video where that pastor said he didn't want women voting. And national media is all silent. Questions from the panel. I'll start with Michael first.
Hey, Gerald, good to see you again.
Right on.
All right. When we deal with this history, and I teach about Texas independence also, when we talk about the Texas Rangers starting about 1835, 1836, part of their duty was also capturing runaway slaves as well. Okay. Can you talk some about that history also? And we know, I'm glad you mentioned Vicente Guerrero, the second president of Mexico, who was Afro-Latino, former slave, because he abolished slavery in Mexico in 1829.
Well, it's interesting. The Texas Rangers, in many ways, were state-sponsored death squads. Not only were they capturing
domestic terrorists.
Exactly. They were hell on the indigenous population.
Yes.
And keep in mind as well that one of the reasons that the United States itself waged war against Mexico a few years later in 1846, walking away with California, which now bills itself as the fourth largest economy on planet Earth, is because Mexico refused to return runaway Africans who had crossed the border into Mexico, leading to major capital loss on the part of Texas enslavers. It's oftentimes discussed in this country about following the North Star to freedom, which is highly appropriate. That is to say, the Africans escaping north to Canada, but thousands of Africans were escaping south into Mexico.
Correct.
Leads to the war against Mexico, which leads to the denuding of a good deal of Mexican territory.
Be sure to register for my new online history course. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This class is on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to start Saturday, August 6th, 2025. Go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and scroll down. This is African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. This is a 10-week online course. We're actually going to start on Saturday, September 6th. Click right here to register. Class is on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And one of the things we'll talk about are various African empires, whether we talk about ancient Nubia or the Kush Empire, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, the Nok culture. We're going Meroe, Axum. We're going through and looking at history, thousands of years of history, various African empires, and then also we'll deal with the transatlantic slave trade and how it evolved. So we'll look at history from 5000 BC through 1800 AD. You'll get 5 of my lectures in digital download format free with this. And then also be sure to download our class lesson plan here as well. Click on the download button to download our class lesson plan. And visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Our social media handles are here as well. And you can email me through the website. Just click on contact the African History Network. So this class is PG-13. You can use this content with your children. Also, I don't do a lot of cursing or anything like that. It's very visual. There are 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. We and I show you the articles on the screen. The 15 books that we reference, you don't have to buy any of the books. We show you the books we show you the pages of the books on the screen as well. And there are 200 slides in the class also. Okay. So I have a PowerPoint presentation. There are video clips that we show, excerpts of interviews I've done with some of our historians. I've been teaching this class on and off since 2017. So it has evolved immensely since then. Also, you can support the African History Network through PayPal and Cash App. We have the information right on the homepage of my website. If you scroll down, $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This is our Cash App. Tag $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. Okay, these are some fake African History Network Cash App accounts that have been stealing money from us. And I put our tag right here. Here's our link to our Cash App, QR code. Okay, so you can support us there. If you want to donate support us $5, $10, $15, $25, $50, $100, whatever it is. It definitely helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, and broadcast the Sunday night show also. And here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. All right. So look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. We're kind of forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.